Hey there, Brian Rosenthal here. I'm the host of the Fit Growth Machine podcast. And today we have an awesome episode because we are going to talk about how to unlock the value of collaborations with other brands and get massive value out of it. But before going into today's episode and introducing today's guest, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. At BSR Digital, we help e-commerce brands that want to scale their business to the next level through Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. BSR Digital knows that most e-commerce brands want to grow their sales, but they lack a solid plan and professional team to help them succeed. That's why BSR Digital offers strategic plans, implementation, optimization, and account audits to help more than 1,000 e-commerce brands like yours grow their businesses and surpass their competitors. To learn more, you can visit them at bsrdigital.com or you can email them also at hello@bsrdigital.com. Okay, so today I have a great guest, as I told you guys earlier. His name is Ari Cheszes. He's the e-commerce director at Overtime. Hey, Ari, thanks for being on the show.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. So funny thing, we are both originally from Argentina, right?
Yeah, we are. So we're both speaking in English when we maybe should be speaking Spanish, but it's okay.
Yeah, man, but nobody would understand it, right? We could, right? And I know, you know what? I have the mate here. I don't know if you do mate, but for
Every
those that
morning. Yeah.
for those not doing mate or thinking what the heck is this guy doing, this is nothing crazy. This is only like a tea to make it short, but nothing crazy. If I drink mate during the interview, it's like drinking a glass of water here in Argentina. So that's what we do here. Okay, we are crazy.
Yeah.
We are crazy. So
I've had to
yeah,
explain it. I had to explain it many times in the office. I've gotten the looks about what is that in the office many times, but
yeah,
it's part of
I
being
know
Argentinian.
it's two things at least, but you can tell me better that people in the US don't do that we do. One, of course, mate is like when you drink coffee, you are addicted to caffeine. There's matein, in mate. So you're like addicted and you need like as we call the thermo, to drink the mate and pour water into it and you're like all day there. And the second
Yep.
thing is what we call the merienda, the the afternoon snack. Is it true that there's no such thing there in the US?
There's no such thing. There's just like a very early dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy when we go abroad and when we travel. When it's time for dinner, we go out and it's like, okay, everything is closed, but it's only like
Yep.
9 or 10 p.m. And it's like, yeah, it's 9 or 10 p.m. and I want to go to sleep. It's like, who has dinner at this time? And it's like, okay, us. So
Yep.
yeah, that must be it. So okay, man, we've been chatting before and I was fascinated by your story and by overtime as well. So why don't we start there? I mean, what's your story? Please tell me.
Okay, so my story, I'll jump forward to the last 7 years of my life. I moved to New York City in 2014, coming from working in consulting at Deloitte. So I had a consulting background. When I first moved to the city, I was looking for a job in the same field or finance. And just by chance, I ended up connecting with a startup that had Argentinian founders that made like this innovative lacing system. The startup was called Hikis. So I joined that startup to manage their e-commerce. I had no experience managing an e-commerce business, but we were very liking the market context of the beginning of Facebook ads and low CPMs. We were able to drive a lot of growth over the 4 years that I was there, selling a $15 product to making eight figures every year. So from that scrappy startup, I moved to Oakley, a sunglass company owned by Luxottica in 2018. And I was there for a year and a half managing their e-commerce business in North America. And then finally in 2020, I joined, I think, the most innovative company out of the three. It's called Overtime. Overtime is the #1 brand for the next generation of sports fans, which is a way to say that we are the place for the Gen Z kids to go and consume sports content. So we are a sports media company that generates sports content that is deployed across social media platforms. We own our own basketball league based out of Atlanta, where we pay high school students to play basketball. And finally, the other part of the business, which I'm responsible for, is we have an apparel line with overtime branding. And I would say it's the most innovative because it's a company that just merges anything that's related to sports, from content, from owning a league, from repurposing videos from other verticals, and finally the apparel. So it's a 360, and we try to do everything just thinking in a very holistic way. So if we're dropping apparel, we try to connect it to our content. We have our own talent team that acts as the influencer. So everything is super connected in the company, and we're making a lot of big moves and exciting things happening. So really excited to be here and sharing the story, and in particular the collaborations that we have done.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story, and that's great. And congrats, man. Um, you were saying a lot of things about overtime, and I'm already overwhelmed by all the things that you guys do. And congrats, that's amazing. And it's that from past, I mean, interviews here on the podcast, we know that nowadays the customers, they want an experience. They need an experience. They don't want to buy only a sweater, a pant, or whatever. They want an experience. They want more. The brand to have a personality, a purpose, a mission. So they want that. And you guys are generating the whole thing around that. And not only generating content that people can consume and buy, but you're actually going way beyond that. And we are going to talk about that in a minute. But before that, I wanted to ask you, where specifically do you think that overtime is different than the competition? For example, you mentioned collab.
Yeah,
Or anything else that you do
yeah,
that you think that probably most companies in your category don't?
yeah. I think a lot of the strategic advantages that Overtime has comes from our company ethos, which is to empower the next generation of athletes. So when we started Overtime, we were shooting high school basketball games and reposting clips of high school students. The names of Zion Williamson, Trey Young, LaMelo Ball. These are all players that are not on the NBA. So we were empowering them by sharing their moments on the court, creating social media followings for them. So by the time that they go to a professional level, they were already known. They had an audience. So this athlete empowerment also translated to empowering our community and just creating like massive engagement. So right now we have 60 million, around 60 million followers across social media platforms. Each of those followers thinks of Overtime as a friend, not as a brand, because when we post something on Instagram and a follower comments, we reply to the comment. When they send us a direct message, we reply. So the approach that we have to managing our audience is like on a peer level and not I am the brand, you're a consumer. It's more, it's all about community. And that's also how the apparel line was born. When we were sending shooters to high school games and they were shooting a video, they were wearing a t-shirt with the Overtime logo, and the kids in the basketball gym would come to the shooter and say, where do you get that t-shirt? I want to wear Overtime, just because they were so engaged with the social media account and they really wanted to represent it. So that's when we knew that there was an opportunity to create apparel. It wasn't that we created apparel hoping to sell it. It was more our audience wanting to buy it. So from that point of view, I think we are distinct. It's just because we do have an engagement and a relationship with our followers that is totally different from other brands.
Yeah, and that's great. And one thing to add there is that you guys did things super differently only there, and we are just talking about the tip of the iceberg here, but just want to quickly mention that some brands that start in a different business, I don't know, you do content and all the stuff that you do besides the apparel before to starting the apparel line, but they treat that line, I mean, other companies, when they say, hey, let's create apparel or whatever category, they treat it as like a side business, like a merchandising that people will probably visit their website and say, "Oh, what's that?" and buy, and that's probably the last thing they care about. I mean, about from the brand's point of view, is like, "Oh, we don't care about that. We just put a few T-shirts there because people love them, but it's all we will do is we will put them there." No, you're super active with regards the apparel line. You're so active, and I'm super excited about the things we're going to discuss because I think it starts with the collaborations, right? So, why collaborations are important?
Yeah, so I think when you look at a collaboration, you have to understand that there's not just a lot of value that can be unlocked, but also a lot of learnings that just like if you translate it to a working scenario when you're at the office and you're collaborating with another team or with your peers, you're learning from them and you're producing results that were not otherwise there. So when we look at brands or people to collaborate, we take it with the same approach. You're definitely gonna learn and produce different outcomes when you're partnering with someone that does things differently, and you're gonna get tons of learning. Some learnings are things that you should do more of in the future or things that you should do less. um, just from the creativity point of view, for us, collaborations have always allowed us to test with designs that we might think are risky, but under the framework of a collaboration, you have more amplitude to test different things. And by testing these like radical or different designs, you're able also to test your audience and how engaged they are. And would they still be loyal to your brand even if you change the design radically? Are they still engaged with you? And then other learnings can be like operational, right? You're partnering with another brand that has production overseas, and their factory works in another way, and then you have to get their inventory into your own warehouse. Um, are they producing up to your quality of standards? How is this product being checked? So there's a final product that goes in the store, but the behind the scenes of the collaboration is also like a roller coaster of negotiations, and just like a 360 view of like from ideating on a product till like the product is in a consumer's hands. All the things that happen are just, it's a great learning experience, and you hope that at the end of the day you gain value by reaching new audiences, you generate incremental revenue, you generate buzz because you give something uh, for people to talk about and newness, and you stay relevant. And we don't like to do things that everyone is doing, but I would say that collaborations have become almost a must do in the fashion world. If you look at any of the big fashion houses or brands, all of them are collaborating just because they need to stay relevant. So Nike with Supreme, Kanye West with Gap, uh, Versace and Fendi did a collaboration. So it's not also just like different industries collaborating. It can also be within your industry and realizing that the pie is big enough for everyone to eat, and you want to make the pie bigger for everyone. You don't really necessarily need to like take away from somebody else's portion. You both can grow together.
No, that's great. I love you, man. So, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly, in the previous conversation we had, you mentioned something like, if you are not collaborating with anyone, you're not going to grow. And it's more or less what you're saying right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, and that's it's not only in e-commerce and apparel, but just in life. In life you have to like learn from other people, um, and at the end of the day, when you have your own apparel business or e-commerce business and you've been doing the same things, it's very hard to get out of the way you do things and to generate newness and innovation. You can either transform your organization radically, but a shortcut to do something innovative or start thinking in a different way is to collaborate with someone that will put you on that mindset.
Yeah. And it's a way for many brands, especially small brands as well, trying to find differentiators versus their competitors and say, hey, how can I ever stand out and get people to buy a t-shirt from me if they buy from the big retails online or offline? So how can I compete? So you need to stand for something. You need to know your mission, your vision. You need to actually go to the basics, because most people will say, I mean, entrepreneurs, hey, vision, mission, and whatever is like probably not a thing. It's more in theory. When you have that clear, and when you niche down, and when you stand for something, and you show that, and you actually show that, not say, you show that, that
Yeah.
creates a community, that creates support, that creates engagement, and that ends up to the t-shirt. The t-shirt is probably a sense of belonging to something, more of the t-shirt itself, right? That they can get
Right.
anywhere else. So that's awesome. Do you have top of? I mean, if you can think of some, that would be great. Some examples of the main collaborations that you have worked on.
Yeah, we're lucky that we've been able to do a few over the last 2 years, but some, I wouldn't say the big, not just the biggest, but the most special ones for us were ones where we were able to empower different people. So last year for Mental Health Awareness Month in May, we partnered up with this upcoming designer, woman designer named Tori Kirihara, and she designed a capsule of 5 different items that our design team and her collaborated on this collection focused on Mental Health Awareness Month. She has an organization that does a lot of community activations around mental health and provides support to the youth. So for us, it was a really good collaboration because we were able to take a stand in the issue of mental health. We donated 10% of the proceeds of that collaboration towards her foundation, and it allowed us to play around with different designs and empower her as an upcoming designer. As I said, we have 60 million followers, and we gave her exposure all through our social media platforms. So I would say there was a lot of synergy, and she saw the clear value, and we saw the clear value. And not only did it sell really well, but we were able to help a cause that our audience is very engaged with. So that's, I think, my number one. Then earlier this year, we collaborated with a brand called Billionaire Boys Club. This company was founded by Pharrell Williams a couple of years ago, and it was like one of the top streetwear brands, and it's highly aspirational, and we've always looked to them. And so going back to collaborations, we always try to find that there has to be a fit with who we're collaborating with, and there has to be a clear value that you are going to deliver to your share audience. So for us, our pricing is a little lower than Billionaire Boys Club, but we knew that our audience is aspirational and we wanted to test, like, are they willing to spend a little bit more money on clothes? So BBC just made a lot of sense because they're the top streetwear. They wanted to be more involved in basketball, and we created a collection of around 20 different products, where we also were able to use our athletes as the influencers and do a lot of product shoots on basketball court in Atlanta. And that just, for us, putting overtime next to BBC just gives us more credibility in the streetwear world. And for them, it gives them credibility into this new Gen Z audience that they needed to acquire. So there's a shared audience, there's new designs coming. We were able to expand our retail presence because we're in their stores. And finally, something that always goes behind the scenes with a collaboration is you share marketing budgets. So, putting dollars behind a collaboration and promoting it was super beneficial for us as a startup. So we talked about Tori, we talked about BBC. Then we always think that, community is really important for us. And this example of collaboration might be helpful to someone who has a smaller brand. But here in the Lower East Side in Manhattan, there's an ice cream store called Mikey Likes It. He also has a location in Harlem. And Mikey is super involved with the community. He gives back a lot, and he's a total character. So we approached him and say, hey, we want to, it's National Ice Cream Day. We want to do something that creates buzz around this special time of the year in the summer. Ice cream trucks are definitely a staple of New York City. Why don't we do a really cool collaboration that can integrate apparel and our own ice cream flavor, and taking over the whole ice cream shop. And it was just really cool to have for a week. His side of the collaboration was, I'm gonna create an overtime ice cream flavor. We're gonna take the ice cream truck around basketball courts, promoting the ice cream and also selling t-shirts of the ice cream truck. And we were gonna promote his shop on our social media following. We did an event at his store where we shut down the street. We invited all of our followers to come out to the shop to get free ice cream. And then we had the products live on the site for the whole month of June for ice cream. So that was really, really cool, because it was just partnering with that small local shop from New York City and just giving it more awareness to the rest of the US.
Well, so it doesn't stop in creating, collaborations with apparel brands and saying, hey, put your logo here, there, and do some, I don't know, joint designs and all stuff. You actually created your own, for real, your own ice cream flavor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that goes beyond levels. Guys listening, if you have an e-commerce brand and you thought you've seen it all, I work with e-commerce brands every day for probably a decade now, and I thought I saw it all, and I get great surprises such as these ones. All, from time to time, every time I do an interview or talk to a business owner. But man, it's like so far away. Getting the success you're getting is so far away from only getting some vendors or manufacturers and then putting some, I don't know, e-commerce with whichever platform you choose, Shopify or whatever your own, blah blah, and doing some ads. It goes way beyond these guys, this company over time with Ari and more people there are actually doing a lot of things, as he's saying, even creating their own ice cream flavor and collaborating with causes, noble causes with other brands and trying to reach new heights and new audiences all the time. So guys, if you think that there's nothing else to do for you guys to raise awareness or get new people to check out your website and give your brand a unique angle or stand for something, guys, please listen to this episode again and again and again, because there are many things you could be doing. And it doesn't stop there, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, but you have like a pay to play league or something like that, and you did something cool with the three top players. Is that correct?
Yeah, so one of Overtime's latest ventures was to create our own basketball league called Overtime Elite, where we empower. So as I said, we're in the business of empowering athletes, so we changed the whole script of creating a league for high school students that actually get paid for the job that they do or to play basketball. They also get a tailored education, and the educational part of it is super interesting, and they get the best education they can get. But they're also playing at this national stage. We create content around them, and while they're forfeiting their eligibility for a scholarship for a U.S. college, they can have contracts for their own apparel lines and go play pro. So we had two opportunities to connect these players and give them more economical empowerment. One is a collaboration with Topps trading cards, where we're already on our second product. So all basketball players already have their own collectible trading cards of their rookie year when they're 17 years old. They're being sold on eBay already for a much higher value. So they're getting a lot of revenue from that. And then finally, we're partnering with Shopify on the program called Shopify Creators, where in this first year, we selected 3 players from the league, and Shopify is helping them launch their own brand and their own website. So we're providing them resources to design their own apparel line and sell it on their own controlled Shopify store. So not through us. They're going to have their own URL, their own design that includes like their feedback to the Shopify design team. So it's just really cool to see these high school students, already doing things that NBA players aspire to do.
Yeah, I mean, you're not
So
only covering a community, you're not only paying them for that, you're not only trying to empower them by getting people to follow them and a community around them. You're not only doing a partnership with Shopify to get them a website, let's say, with a brand, but you're actually getting them way beyond with all the help from your end, Shopify's end, to actually get everything done, like a done for you thing for
yeah,
them. And that's amazing, amazing, amazing. And congratulations on that. I
thank you.
think that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. So guys listening, another way to help people and to actually help your brand along the way. Is there any other that you didn't mention that you wanted to mention, or those are all probably for now?
No, I would say like another. So when you're looking to do collaborations, just like you gotta think really broad and to also understand where the opportunities might be. One of our collaborations was with a brand called Rocket, that is based out of the Philippines, and how we like, sorry, out of LA, but have a lot of presence in the Philippines. But how we like came up to this was that um, we noticed that we had a lot of traffic to our website from the Philippines because they're very big into basketball over there. They said, okay, let's partner with Rocket, that is very present in that market as well, and use a Filipino basketball player as the model to try to also uh, engage with that audience that we noticed on the site. So it was more like we noticed a trend and then we tried to find a collaboration that would fit into that. So I think that was also a fun one to do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I know, I mean, you listening, you might be thinking, Brian, Ari, this is great, 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 great. But there's no way that for my small e-commerce brand, I can pull something like this off. I mean, no way I can start my own pay to play league or collab with a Pharrell Williams or so. What would you say to people who own a small e-commerce brand and they are wondering like, how do I get started with this?
Yeah, I would say, you always want to have, it's great to always have what's your ideal collaboration. And like, even if you're a brand that just was born, like who is your dream collaboration? And and then like take the necessary steps to get there in the best position. So, there's all this upcoming, this, if you want to test different designs, there's so many designers out there, really cool, that you can be partnering with. So, while you always have to have your goal in mind, also be realistic about what can be done. And, there's always people looking to collaborate from the other end as well, especially when we're talking about designers. So definitely like try to look for cool or upcoming designers that align with your values and your vision, and start having those conversations. Another way to start is really in your own community. In the city that you're based out of, you must have stable restaurants or businesses that are recognized in the community. So what are the opportunities to partner with them? Just because, as I said before, every collaboration is a learning step into the next collaboration. So the more collaborations you do, the more learnings you're going to have into what you like, what you don't like, or how you want to approach your next one. So by the time your dream collab comes, you're in a better place to do it. So I would say know where you want to be or your dream, but don't be afraid to do smaller experiments.
Yeah, and not judging here at all. This is something probably for to open the ones listening's minds about how to think about a collaboration, because some people, I mean, might say, when I think about a collaboration and who to collaborate with, as you were saying, some people might start at the wrong place and take them to the wrong place then. So they might start thinking, how can I make money out of this? Which are the collaborations that will get me the most money and most revenue? And is that the right mindset? Although we all want money and we all want more revenue, but is that the only thing that matters? Is that the only thing or the the main thing that will get them to succeed with a collaboration, or they need to start thinking about collaborations with different questions, like, I don't know, who can I help that is related to
Yeah,
what I, the causes I want to help, what my audience is interested in that I can. So what
yeah.
could you say to the audience about that?
So we are firm believers in putting the consumer first. So I think the first question of doing a collaboration is what is the value that you want to deliver to your audience, and what are you trying to do for your audience? And then the second question is, who do I fit with? So whoever you're collaborating with, you have to have fit in your shared values, in what you're trying to achieve, and in the ways of working. So I would say first start from what can you do for your audience that a collaboration might allow you to do. Not just thinking of, I think anytime that you start thinking of like what we can do to grow revenue, you're missing the picture, because you know, it's a buzzword right now, but being consumer centric is very important. And I think it's, in my opinion, is the right way to approach things. So I would say it's more, um, what's the opportunity to give more value to our audience, and then who do we fit with? Those are the two questions that I would start with.
That's great. And probably, yeah, to one of the last questions I have for you is, I'm curious. I mean, it's awesome. And again, congrats to you and all the team there at Overtime for all the great things they do. I love when you told me the first time about collaborations, it was wow. It blew my mind. But besides collaborations, what do you guys do? Probably as an overview regarding sales and traffic. Do you do anything else, or you only rely on collaborations to get traffic and sales?
No, you know, we heavily rely on traffic. So we do a lot of investments across all the social media platforms. With paid ads on Facebook, Instagram, Snap. Obviously, Google branded search is huge for us, and then we're always trying as well to keep all the audience that comes to our site, and we try to put them in our SMS platform. We use Attentive. You know, our followers skew young, and it's heavily on mobile, so SMS marketing is huge for us, and it's a way to keep all of our followers engaged. And collaborations are, you know, just layers that add to a healthy business. I would say, like, you know, our foundational business is very solid, and our core products are amazing and drive 60% of the revenue. And then we use collaborations to test new things or just to get incremental. So, you know, we always first focus on like having our solid business and our part of the business just really dialed in and know what we do for our audience, and then look to collaborations just for mere expansion and to deliver like different value to the audience.
That's great. Uh, awesome. I mean, this is all on my end. You did great. It was amazing. It was a pretty interesting interview for real. I think it's for listening probably one or twice, I think, at least to get a sense on the importance of collaborating, the type of collaborations that it doesn't stop, in collaborating with another brand and say, oh, put my logo there and I will do this with you. No, it's a true collaboration, sometimes even with a cause. Also identifying the trends on your website with such a, I mean, as in the example with the Philippines, with something that is top of mind for them, an athlete from there. And so that those are pretty cool things. So thanks for sharing that with me and with the audience. So is there anything I didn't ask you that you think that will benefit the audience?
No, I think you like. I also really enjoyed having the conversation. I hope the audience found it helpful and was able to understand my accent.
Yeah, for
No, I think my final takeaway is just to, again, for me, it's being in a positive mindset of understanding that, you know, the e-commerce business is big enough for all of us, and it also has room for expansion. So it's also like not seeing your competitor as a competitor that you have to steal away business, but why not think of, people in the same space as you as a potential collaborator, and what are things that you could learn from each other? Because I think that just also opens up a lot of the doors, and obviously looking into completely different ideas. Because at the end of the day, when you put two logos together on a t-shirt, that's not a collaboration, that's a collage. So understand the difference between a collage and a true collaboration. And a collaboration goes from the first call to brainstorming in a room to having discussions. It's a whole process, and it's, at the end of the day, it's super enjoyable, and you're always gonna learn something from it, even though it might not be the revenue driver that you want. You will for sure come out of it having learned many things.
That's great. Where can people go to find more about overtime and you as well?
You can find, well, first I'm gonna give a shout out to my store. It's shop.overtime.tv. That's where you can find all of our apparel and a lot of these collaborations. You can follow at Overtime on Instagram, that's our main account, or you can go to overtime.tv to learn more about the company. And I believe you asked if people want to find about me, you can search me on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. Yeah, as always,
Yeah.
guys, listening, there will be show notes for this episode as for all the rest of them. So you will find all the links in the show notes as well. So thank you, Ari, one last time for being on the show. I really enjoyed it and I hope you had a great time too.
Thank you so much.